Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? It is Tuesday evening. It's 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, it's time for Snowbound, the Blizzard podcast. That's right, the show we talk about everything World of Warcraft, Diablo, Hearthstone, Overwatch. If Blizzard Entertainment makes it, we talk about it. And obviously, they've been doing a couple big things the last couple of weeks, so I think we'll just keep rolling with that stuff. Thank you to chat here at twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio, watching us live. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify, head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com, RAIDEO, radio.com. Follow all the socials. Check out all the previous episodes, and of course, join us live. Why don't you? Twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio, not only for our different podcasts, including this one, but also for all of our team of streamers who volunteer their time and passion for gaming, and it is much appreciated. Joining me today to talk about Week 2 of Shadowlands, Mr. Dom Greco, a.k.a. Zista. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How about you?
You maniac, hide the sanity pills where you can't find them again. Earn the title Sanity Sucker. Yeah, that was not nice. That was...
See, not only do we have the shows here, but we also stream from time to time.
Yeah, that was...
And if you don't get this reference, you missed our Phasmophobia stream.
Yeah, that was not nice
yesterday.
of you. And I'm not going to recount the story here. You can go watch it on the VOD down below from yesterday's stream. That was not nice, is all I'm going to say.
I enjoyed it.
And I don't know if it was you or Faye or Styx, but I'm pretty sure one of you ate the fourth pills, and that the story that you only brought 3 was a farce. Also on the line, a much nicer person, Angela Mercurio, a.k.a. Indy. How are you, Indy?
Well, thank you for those kind words. I'm doing awesome tonight. How are you?
Well, I can't complain. Nobody really listens. You know how it is.
Yeah. On the note of Zista's achievement, I have to say that transcends just Phasmophobia. I was running Mythics with him last week, and
I'm sorry.
He sucks sanity in WoW 2.
Yeah, he's good at that.
Yes, indeed.
He's good at that. It's like, he's like, why doesn't any of my friends come play with me? You guys should come play with me. And then he torments the shit out of all of us. And then we don't want to play with them. And he's like, why doesn't people not want to play with me anymore?
If I have less hair next week, that's because we're running Mythic Pluses this week. So
nice. Well, yeah, I mean, let's kind of get right to it since you segued into the Mythic Pluses. This is Week 2 for Shadowlands. As of today, we get our Mythic Pluses, we get our raid, we get a bunch of other stuff. We're going to kind of give a little preview of that because it is today. So we will assume that people have not actually... panelists on this show none of us have gone through all of this ready. We'll save kind of like a actual in-depth review for next week or the week after. Give you a little more time than, hey, 10 hours, come do a show and let us know how it all was. No, we're not going to do it that way. But we will kind of get your early impressions on some things. But first, I think we should take a moment here, right? We did get, when pre-orders were out and about, we did get on an investor's call, Blizzard talking about how it had been the best-selling expansion yet, and pre-order-wise in particular at that time. Well, it turns out it did a little better than that. It did just a little bit better than being the best-selling WoW expansion of all time. It went ahead and became, guys, the fastest-selling PC game of all time, period. Like, that's it. PC game. First day of launch, bigger than any other PC game in history. Having beaten its own Diablo 3 record of 3.7 million units sold through globally, Shadowlands comes in at 3.7 million. Sorry. Diablo sold 3.5 million. I gotta say, while I am not surprised that it sold very well, and I was not surprised by it pre-selling better than some previous expansions, I'm very surprised by this stat, Indy.
Well, Do we think that COVID has any kind of factor into this because more people are home and more people are looking for games to play, and perhaps people who are already WoW players or like their friends that are stuck home quarantined or whatever, "Hey man, join me in the game." Like that could maybe have some sort of
Well, it's interesting that you posit that, because in the press release we actually get a few more details besides just, hey, we sold a bunch of shit. In the months leading up to the expansion's release and the time since launch, the game reached and has sustained its highest number of players on monthly or longer-term subscriptions compared to the same period ahead of and following any WoW expansion in the past decade in both the East and the West. Players have spent more time in Azeroth year to date, so 2020, God rest its soul, than in the same period of any of the last 10 years. And in addition, total player time in-game this year to date has nearly doubled compared to the same period last year. I would tend to agree, Indy, and Zista, let's get your thoughts here, that, yeah, COVID might have a little bit to do with that, too.
It absolutely does. Like, I have at least 10 friends that I haven't seen logged onto this game since Wrath of the Lich King, all coming back to play. And I've questioned them and I've said, hey, why? And they're like, well, our social activities have kind of halted. Our D&D games are no longer going on. The weather's cold. I can't go ride my bike like I used to. Like I needed something to do that's still, a little social to get that going. And WoW just kind of filled that itch for quite a lot of people. So yeah, I 100% agree that COVID definitely had a lot to do with it.
That said, though, I don't want to take anything away from these numbers. There is a myriad of competition for World of Warcraft right now, whether that be in the MMORPG front with something like Final Fantasy XIV or somebody's, your other game of choice, whatever it may be, or being pulled away by big titles, Immortals Phoenix Rising. Obviously, we got Cyberpunk coming out tomorrow or 2 days from now. So there's been titles all year that have the opportunity to pull numbers away from other games, including World of Warcraft. It is kind of, even in just saying, okay, they probably had a bump due to COVID, these are impressive numbers, I think, Indy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I'm quite happy about that because I've been a World of Warcraft like devotee since it came out, and there's been a few very disappointing expansions where you've seen things trend down and players like longtime players, core players, just leaving the game. I myself, a lot of really close friends that used to play the game years and years ago have since just left and never come back. So it's definitely like heartwarming to see all these players come back, some even from years ago.
Yeah.
For the first good expansion and who knows how many.
Yeah, and Styx is pointing out that when we talk about 10 years ago, that's basically when Wrath was finishing up. When Wrath of a Lich King was finishing up. So when, you don't even think about it. You're just like, oh, 10 years. And you're like, well, wait, yeah, Styx, you're right. 10 years, shit, that was Wrath of the Lich King finishing up. That means Cataclysm, Legion, Warlords of Draenor, Battle for Azeroth. This is 5 freaking expansions ago. And arguably, Mists. Oh, shit. Yeah, speaking of, that's 6 expansions ago. Thank you. When you think about that, Styx, that was mid to late Wrath was the height, right? That was the pinnacle as far as population and subscriptions and things go. It starts to kind of peter a little bit into Mists and then kind of starts its fall to Blizzard no longer reporting subscription numbers publicly after that. That is damn impressive.
You also have to wonder if it's a lot of people that have been playing like classic WoW that, have, moved over, because we're at the point now in classic WoW classic WoW, where like Naxx came out. Naxx was not a lot of content that was friendly to a vast majority of the player base. It was made for like the top, maybe I think the numbers were like the top 5%, maybe even 1% of WoW players experienced Naxxramas back then when it was originally launched.
Yeah. As far as full clears go, you're looking at a 1%
like when you
number.
look at that, there's not a whole lot of new content in the game for that, and this is like the last big patch that WoW Classic has. So, when people are waiting to maybe hear about, Burning Crusade servers that may or may not come up during BlizzCon, in February. But like, this is kind of a lull for those people. So it's like, hey, new expansion, everybody's playing. I'm already subbed anyway. I might as well maybe buy the expansion and play a little bit more. There's those people, maybe even the people that just enjoy Blizzard games in general, and we're kind of dealing with a lull in Overwatch. There's not a lot going on before the Christmas event. There's Diablo's not very much going on over there, and Hearthstone, I don't really even need to speak about that because we will later.
Sidebar question here. Do you think Cyberpunk being released in 2 days has a shot at dethroning this 3.7 million?
No, absolutely not. And the only reason that I say that is because this is the fastest PC title ever, and Cyberpunk is being multi-platform released. Yeah. So that's gonna absorb. Because like, if Cyberpunk was coming out and it was only PC, I'd obviously buy it for the PC. But because I just bought a PS5, I bought it for the PS5 because I want to get some use out of it. So,
Indy, you were immediately shaking your head too. You think the PC audience is big for it, but nowhere near 3.7 million big?
I think that the PC audience that's big for it isn't going to purchase it right now because we're just opening up the raid instances. We're just opening up Mythic Pluses. What World of Warcraft player is going to be like, oh, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna go to play Cyberpunk.
Oh no, I wasn't implying that they would steal audience. I was just saying, could they beat the 3.7 million sales to achieve fastest, growing PC? Yeah.
Maybe that's my Blizzard fangirlness coming out, but I'm very protective.
I purchased Cyberpunk. It will be here for release day. That number already counts toward them. However, like I said, mine's on PS5. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be raiding on Friday, right? For my raid team.
Well, speaking of that, let's get a status check on where all three of us are at now in game. We do have a castle launched today, the Mythic Plus Dungeons. We're going to get to that stuff specifically. But let's talk a little bit, just give everybody an idea. We don't need huge bios and stuff. Like, obviously we've all made 60. We've run the dungeons. We've run the heroics. You guys have done all 8 regular mythics. I still have, I think, 2 left or 3 left of the regular ones, just to have them cleared and then start Mythic Plus as well. Raid-wise, you guys raid later this week, right, with your own individual groups?
Yeah, I raid Fridays and Saturdays, and like I had mentioned, you guys are more than welcome to join if you'd like.
I'm pretty certain I'm going to be joining his raid.
Yeah. Oh, well then, shit. All right. Yeah, I appreciate the invite, and I was going to say no if it was just you, but if Indy's going, at least I know I won't, get assed out by a shitty healer. Yeah, so I may take you up on it too, which means, hell, we may as well start streaming it at some point. Anyway, if it's going to be the 3 of us. Indy, is that where you're at too? I know you haven't jumped into castle. So did either of you play any of the castle fights in beta?
No, I wasn't. I got beta, but I just had surgery and everything, so it was really hard. I couldn't get into it. I wished I could have, but I've been reading about all the fights and I've definitely been studying up on them.
Oh hell yeah. Is this the beta? Yes, no. That's more personal question. I didn't know if either of you had.
I was in the beta, but I didn't play any of the raid tier stuff because
Gotcha.
I don't like to spoil it. I like to experience it with everybody else and learn it. I'm more of a learn it as you go kind of person,
Gotcha. So any new favorite things, whether they be quests, storylines, systems, zones, characters, whatever, any additional gripes now that you have another week under your belt, working with your Covenant abilities, doing your Covenant campaign, doing your dailies, doing all that stuff? Any new, hey, I really like this, or oh my God, I really don't like this, Indy?
I really used to. So last week, my opinions kind of changed about the Maw. I was having a really hard time getting my dailies done and getting those rares killed just to kind of try and get the rep that I needed. But I started teaming up. I went with actually Zista and Omi had gotten me into this area in the mall where I really wasn't even allowed, but I just kind of stayed out of combat and kept myself healed while they killed things. It's definitely when you go into the mall with pals versus going in by yourself, and then your jailer thing gets up to, okay, he hates you, you need to leave. It was really frustrating before because I felt like I couldn't get anything done. But if you go in there, with 1 or 2 people, it's actually really fun. And then as the jailer thing ranks up and you start getting gripped off the ground and dropped and hunted, it makes it more exciting. So my gripe from last week has kind of changed in that regard.
Still seeing the gripe of people not being able to mount in the mall and this being a huge deal. I don't get it. I don't understand why anybody has a problem with it. I get around just fine.
I believe you're going to be able to. I believe soon you're
going
to be
matter.
able to.
It doesn't matter. I get around just fine. I don't understand why everybody. I'm a druid. I don't understand. I click travel form
cliff to cliff.
I click travel form. It seems to work just fine, Zista. Any new gripes? Any? Obviously, let's kind of stay away from spoilers, but fair warning, chat. And granted, actually, now that I think about it, like I say that, that's like a Final Fantasy 14 thing I'm used to saying. There's not a huge amount of spoilers yet. So not like we could really spoil something incredible for you, but we won't. Next week, all bets are off, though. That's it. You get 2 weeks, guys and gals. You get 2 weeks. Yeah, you've been warned. Next week, if there's something we're going to spoil, I'm going to put it right at the intro of the damn show. Just any new likes, no likes, more
I'm
gripes?
just actually really enjoying a lot of the like go here to pick up a quest, like instead of having like what we experienced with like Legion and BFA and stuff like that, where you have your emissary quest and it's on the map and it's like go do it. It's like it's there and you kind of forget about it, but when it's actually like a quest in your class hall that you or your covenant that you pick up and you have to go and it's there, it's like that just feels like it makes all the difference to me because it feels more important. Feels like you have to pay attention to it a little bit more. It's not like somewhere tucked out of the way that you forget about. So it's just I've noticed a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's really showing me how much I just don't like world quests. Just go into a zone and do it. I'd rather have the old school like quest hub system.
Yeah, I am kind of digging that too. Not just in that context, but in the context of there being more to do. Now, I understand that we're talking about like more of daily grindy, boring shit at the end of the day. And maybe I won't feel this way a month from now. Maybe, 2 months from now, I won't feel this way. But I do like that it isn't just like if I don't feel like doing the world quest, I don't do the world quest for a little while. I go do something else first. Yeah. It's not log in immediately, get my world quest done, then okay, go fart around for 3 hours in World of Warcraft. If I don't want to do my world quest first, then I go do some other stuff, or I go do Torghast, or I go do. I do like that there are multiple options, or I'm farming this up for my legendary. Okay, I'm bored with that. It's feeling grindy now. Now let me go knock out some world quests and get some anima and bring that back and do that. I know they're all just variations of the same system, so it really shouldn't feel like variety. It's gather a lot of shit through one activity over and over and over again. But because there's 3 or 4 or 5 of these systems all concurrently running that feel different activity-wise, even if it is just a grind up X resource activity, it is keeping my interest for something that isn't interesting in and of itself to do.
Well, yeah, listen, the thing with this game, the thing that this game has become is like there's something for everyone. No matter what aspect of the game you like, there's always going to be stuff to do. And for someone like me who's a completionist, it sometimes can get a little overwhelming because you feel compelled to do the things that you don't even want to do, but you feel like you have to do them. So I've created I hate to say this, Alliance priest alt that's like an exact copy of my Horde priest. And I use Threads of Fate for that, and like it's actually quite nice to just dungeon grind. It's like super fast. You level so I know, I'm sorry. I ring that shame bell.
I'm not judging. If I'm gonna raid with you, I actually have to fucking faction change, Indy. So I'm not the one that's judging here.
I'm judging myself.
I mean, it was actually my suggestion for her.
I can't even turn war mode on because I refuse to get into any altercations with my Horde brethren.
Well, yeah, Indy had a conversation with me, and she's like, I really just don't like playing alts because every time I play an alt, I wish it was my priest. And I said, well, why don't you just roll an Alliance priest? That's what I did. I did that with my Demon Hunter because after switching to Demon Hunter, I can't play any of the other classes. They just don't feel fun to me. Like the Demon Hunter, I've had so much fun on, and so it's like when I made an alliance character, I was like, I have certain things that I want to do. I'm doing it to get like the story for at the time BFA, and it's like trying to get the war campaign done, get some achievements on both characters and stuff like that. So I'm like, I want to do this as fast, as efficient, and as possible. So when it's done, I could just get out and I go,
yeah,
Demon Hunter's the best option for me because I already know it.
I see my 50 Demon Hunter in my character panel every day, and I'm like, I see you there, honey. I'll be back. Don't you worry. I see you there, baby. You're 50. Don't worry. We'll get you there. I just got to go do some daily shit. Oh, my God. It's been 8 hours. All right, tomorrow, honey. I promise. Tomorrow, honey. I
haven't even started my ults yet.
I loved tanking on my Demon Hunter, even though Zista would try to get me killed. Anybody having Covenant remorse yet?
No.
No?
Absolutely none.
Everybody's still good.
I love my Covenant.
Did we all three go Venthyr?
I think we did, yes.
We all three of us did? Okay. Yeah. All right. That's a question we're going to keep asking because that's a huge concern.
I'm going to tell you right now, my answer is never going to change. Never.
Yeah.
I'm that confident.
How's everybody's legendaries? Anybody there yet or close?
I'm ready to make mine as soon as I get 100 more Soul Ash.
Both of mine that I need for doing decent in raids both dropped from the raid, so I unfortunately don't have mine yet. I'm pretty much ready to go otherwise.
I need Soul Ash, so all right, Indy, it's a race between you and I and Zista, whatever. Zista, yeah, I guess it's a race.
Everything but the 100 and change Soul Ash, just a little bit more.
Anybody alt leveling?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Indy, you did already. Did you get more up to 60, or is your second one in the works now? Third one in the works? Where are you?
I mean, it's still an alt if it's an alliance copy of my priest, right? So.
Well, yeah. That's still.
The thing with Threads of Fate that's like really almost broken, I think, is that if you do Threads of Fate, you select your Covenant right away, which is awesome because I went right Venthyr, of course. And then I just started dungeon grinding, and it's so easy because you get 50,000 EXP base per random, and plus all the EXP that you get in there. So 4 to 5 dungeons a level, and I'm almost 60.
Yeah, so that was going to be kind of next question here then, and I guess you already answered it for you. The answer is yes. You would use the Threads of Fate option as far as leveling. So if you're not familiar with this, by the way, in Shadowlands, there is an alternate way to level your alts if you want to, called the Threads of Fate system. And basically, you kind of this is a choose your own adventure thing, right? You start off the Covenant campaign, like Indy said, went Venthyr, and just start doing shit. So from 50 to 59, right? Before this, if you're leveling from scratch, maybe you did Chromie time and busted out an expansion real quick. This is for 50 to 59. So you basically do one quest, head off to the Shadowlands, and the zone that you pick for your Covenant abilities, you're given a bunch of stuff right off the bat, provided you've completed the campaign on another character. And then, you just do whatever the hell you want, whether that be dungeons, whether that be world quests. You're not going to get experience and stuff killing monsters. You're not going to have any narrative experience here. This isn't a questing and story and stuff like that. It is literally, here is I guess the best way to call it is an alternate bar. Fill it up by doing shit. And when it's full, come and turn it in, and you will have experience rain down from the heavens on your character and level you up. Not exactly, I would say, the best system for somebody that likes direction, likes going from point A to point B to point C, likes narrative, but pretty damn quick if you're just going to pick an activity you like doing, like dungeons, and just go with it, Zista. It's hard not to be a fan of this, even if it's not something you intend to use. I know I will. Indy, you already said you will, and Zista, you're nodding your head, so I think we're in agreement here.
I like the system on paper, but because of the way I leveled my Demon Hunter horde side,
you're going to have to not use it.
Possible. I'm going to be using the Alliance one to go through the actual story process, so it's going to be a much slower process. And with all the other games that are coming out right now, like I'm in the middle of Watch Dogs Legion. I'm hoping to finish that in the next 2 days because I want to get it done before Cyberpunk comes out. I got Cyberpunk, and then I have a whole backlog of games as well. So my alt is on the back burner for quite a while, but when I do, I'm probably not going to be using Threads of Fate. I want to see the storyline through, and that's going to be, like I said, a much slower pace for me.
Well, today is the day. Let's, I guess, start with the raid, Castle Nathria, opening up today. Well, I guess I should say it's normal and heroic versions, right? Mythic will be next week on the 15th. 10 bosses in this bad boy, separated by wings, so pretty familiar territory for some of you raiders, ICC, Naxxramas, a bunch of raids that have had wings, and we got the same type of thing going on here. Now, neither of you played in beta, and I didn't play in beta at all, let alone the raid stuff. I stay away from WoW betas. It's just not my thing. I'm like, it'll be pretty polished. I'll let somebody else test it. But do you watch video guides for these things ahead of time? Like, even, I know there is a lot of fun to be had, and I've done this before with raids, right, where you learn the fight. Like, you truly learn the fight. You learn every mechanic, what they do, all that fun stuff as a team, whether it's 10 people, 20 people, whatever. There is a lot of fun to be had in that style of gameplay. It doesn't really suit me personally anymore. I don't have that kind of time. So I will not only watch a guide for a fight before I do it the first time or teach it to somebody else or whatever like that, but I will watch them like before I'm even ready to do them. A perfect example is Castle Nathria. Like, I'm not going to be running it tonight, but I've watched all the fights multiple times from different angles, what the healers are seeing, what the tanks are seeing, what the DPS is looking out for in certain things. Do you guys go into it that heavy, or are you hey, oh shit, okay, I got to run that next, let me go watch a video real quick and queue up type person, Indy?
I'm a study. Like, I like to know everything ahead of time. I don't like to go in blind. But ultimately, it's kind of like if you were to try to learn how to drive a car without actually driving it, you have to like be in that situation. You have to be in that fight and see the mechanics firsthand because you can read about it so much. So, as a healer, I want to know what times are going to be like heavy spike damage and whatnot. But when we go in, I guess Friday, it's just going to be kind of like, wipe till you learn.
Zista, are you a heavy research, or are you just pop the...
I like to go in blind. Yeah, no,
there's something wrong with that boy right there.
I like to go in blind. My raid team is very split. A lot of us like to learn the fight as we go, and then there's a good portion of us that like to know all the ins and outs and go in so everything can be smooth. I respect both styles of play. I don't get mad at people that don't like to read up on it, because I myself, as much as I watch the videos or read about them, it doesn't stick with me until I actually do the fight. So yeah, I will watch certain videos and stuff like that, but I haven't watched any of the beta ones, simply because mechanics change, and I don't want to like spend the time to like learn something that might not make it in and then mess my whole expectations up. So I have the luxury of we raid Fridays and Saturdays, so all the
so you get
strategies
all
are
the
available by
Tuesday
then.
through Thursday goodness video guides going up.
Exactly. Yep.
Loving the aesthetic. I love the aesthetic of the raid itself. I'm just into gothic and vampires and shit like that anyway, so this really does it for me. But it is definitely shades of, feeling a lot like when I was doing Karazhan for the very first time, right? Like this foreboding tower castle-ish thing, and there's
50 Shades of Karazhan.
Yeah, it absolutely. I'm turned on. I don't know about you two. But it definitely is doing it for me. Does this fit exactly what the two of you were looking for? Are you in favor of the way this looks? Are you in favor of... I mean, it is an awful lot of red. I guess if you don't like
Yes.
red, this is not a good thing for you, Indy.
Red's my favorite color, but I think that we're all on board for this being Venthyr. You know, we've all selected them as our covenant. But yeah, I mean, like the design, well, I don't know if we're gonna get to talk about like boss design yet or what.
Yeah,
but,
that's gonna hold
have,
1 second. I do want to,
yeah,
since we kind of mentioned this earlier at the top of the show, that these numbers are some of the biggest numbers behind the game since Wrath of the Lich King. There's been quite a lot that's changed on the raid front. And if you're hearing us say, oh yeah, normal and heroic open today and mythic opens this week and then mythic plus, and that, I do want to kind of like maybe we should do that now. Let's take a little pause and Zista kind of, I'm looking at this from friends of mine that have maybe raided in Wrath of the Lich King, took some expansions off, maybe quit in Mists of Pandaria or the beginnings of Legion, and didn't see the mythic changes that came with Warlords of Draenor or Battle for Azeroth, and now into Shadowlands. Where's my 10-man? Where's my 10-man heroic? Where's my 25 normal? My 25 heroic? What is it? What is this all now?
They're gone. I mean, I explained this actually just recently to one of my friends that came back, and I was like, one of the beauties about raiding now is, you know, if you have 13 players, you guys could go in and just raid as 13 people, you know. And I'm like sitting there going, they really don't realize this, and I'm like, this is so, like, forget about the difficulty levels, just the flexible raid is like probably the best thing they've ever added to WoW raiding. And it's like, you used to have to go in with, you know, a set 40 people or 25, you know, when it went to Burning Crusade. But now it's like you have 13, you could play. If one player's got a drop, guess what? You can still play. You don't have to feel obligated to fill that slot. You can keep going, and that drops all the way down to 10, and I believe it goes all the way up to a max of 30, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just having that flexibility is just incredible. And then, yes, there are the different difficulty levels for people that haven't played at all in, I think they added difficulty levels in Burning Crusade. I don't think it was to raids, but it was dungeons. They had the normal and the heroic version.
Right.
So they did that with raids now, you know, where, you know, it's harder, and then people, you know, like, it's not quite hard enough. So when they added the flexible rating scale, they added the mythic style, where mythic is a set group. I believe it's 25 players. I'm not sure on that because I don't actually do mythic rating. And it's just like they wanted to put a set number of players in there so they could tune the difficulty and make the encounter as challenging as they could for the people that really want that challenge. To me, I'm happy doing it flexible style at heroic. That's just the least amount of stress for me, and that's about as much as I can handle right now.
Yeah, but that does necessitate, Indy, a change in the way loot works, the way gear works differently, and there's even changes in this expansion too. I'm seeing a lot of friends on Twitter, and even in my own my experience hasn't been too bad on this front. Maybe I've just been lucky, but I am seeing a lot of, I'm running shit and not getting anything. Period. Like, not getting the stuff that I need. I'm not getting anything, period. So this does kind of change the loot system. Mythic plus dungeons now being put in Great Vault make this a little bit different than previous expansions too. So maybe it's worth, if we're going to catch our brethren up here, and for those of you that know this stuff, forgive us. We're catching up your brethren. You'll thank us. You'll thank us when they understand us a little more. How the loot acquisition has changed in this whole process too.
I think loot mentality has changed since I'm a classic player, and Zista used to tease me all the time because I would use the back in my day thing all the time. Like, you know, loot was hard to get. You could raid for a month with your 40-man guild and not get one piece, and that was great because that you were part of a raid. I think flex is amazing. I'm going to go back to that and just say it's great because it's more inclusive. You don't have to bench people, and you don't have to like hold up an entire raid if one person needs to leave. That's amazing. I do agree with that. Some things from like former expansions, I do think would be cool if they kept that. Like, remember raiding Ulduar, you would initiate a hard mode by doing a certain mechanic.
Yeah, press the red button or
Yeah. I always love that, and I always wish they would bring that back. So you know what? Like, that's something I sort of miss. But as far as loot goes, I think that in this expansion, yes, it is a little bit more scarce, but let's keep in mind they made it. I don't remember how many expansions ago that you could trade loot between eligible players or players who were eligible for loot. So, if you're raiding or doing mythics with a group, let me tell you, I've gotten almost every piece upgraded in 1 week in mythics just by running with Zista's group. So I don't think loot's an issue. And I also don't think if you're doing things solo, the scarcity of it is going to be an issue because you can still get upgrades by doing other things. So
yeah, and every dungeon that I've ever run, basically, if I queued up for it solo, always ends with hey, you guys need this staff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even with total strangers. So it is a little harder in this expansion because there are things like bonus rolls aren't a thing. So that chance to upgrade it, that's kind of gone. So there are some small tweaks specific to this expansion. Go ahead, Zista. You wanted to chime
I don't
in.
know if you had any experience with this in the mythics that you ran or if you were even paying close enough attention, but because I was running with 5 people that I knew, we would notice usually about every single dungeon, one person would not get loot, even on dungeons that had 5 bosses.
Yeah, I've been running randos, so I haven't been paying
Yeah.
attention to that. I don't care if you get shit or not in a rando.
It feels weird to me that there's 5 bosses and everybody should get a piece of loot off of the end boss, but usually one person walks out not getting anything. Sometimes somebody, like I had a run where the tank walked out with 2 pieces of loot and a conduit. So it's just like, what is going on with this system?
Yeah, and
that feels really bad.
Yeah, and I did bring that up that I have friends on Twitter and stuff like that. I haven't seen it individually. That's why I alluded to maybe my luck has just been, on par with everything I've been doing so far. But I have seen people, God, I've run 4 dungeons and I literally have not gotten anything from any boss.
Yeah.
That
Because I ran with Sir Onion Knight, who's in chat right now, and yeah, he's talking about how many chests I got in one night. I received 4 chest piece from 3 different dungeons. I got double loot in one dungeon, had 2 chests. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand. It's just like,
yeah, but you pay the premium sub, don't you? That's like
there's no premium.
That's like
sub.
the $24.99.
The friends
per
and
month.
family sub, right?
That's
the friends and family alpha sub,
right? You just keep funneling Blizz that extra money. All right, so forgive us for a little bit of a recap there to catch your brethren up. Let's go back now, Indy. Now that we have talked about the mythic and the difficulties and the way rating works and the gear works, let's go back and we can start talking about bosses a little bit because I know you got a boyfriend you want to talk about.
Oh, my boyfriend. Which boyfriend?
Whoa.
Kael'thas?
Wait, what? Well, yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, but now I'm more interested in who the other one is.
Sergeant Athreus.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's right. You like Gaston.
Theotar.
The reading through the encounters, right? I immediately zeroed in on the Sun King Salvation because it's kind of like if you're a healer, you get excited about healing fights. And this one is definitely a healer fight, but it also includes the other players. They can sacrifice their HP to kind of help healing, but then you're going to have to heal them. So I love any fight where it's just healing everywhere and healing centric.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about this before the show. You were like, "Hey, I really want to talk about this," and I was like, "That's cool. I like this. I like this fight too." We've seen healing type fights in the past, like ICC and stuff like this. I can appreciate as somebody who did not play a healer in those particular raids. I do like the mechanic added to this one of DPS, and I mean you wouldn't want to, but theoretically your tank could go head over to the old vessel and start funneling their own health into there to help Mr. Sunstrider out. Plus, it's just we go back to something we talked weeks ago about Zista, where we're seeing characters that just have that stupid punch of nostalgia for those of us that have been playing the game long enough. And seeing Mr. Sunstrider here makes me feel good. I loved Tempest Keep.
We're finding Mancrick's wife.
Yes. Yeah, I brought that up too. It's definitely. Indy, you had brought up when we were talking about Sunstrider, though, that you like the redemption kind of story arc here too.
Well, here's the thing. We obviously went after him in Magister's Terrace. We went after him in TK, and we see him now. And the first thing I saw before I even read anything was his design, right? He's got a huge Sinstone chained to him. And then my chat was like, oh, I wonder why that is. I said he's probably being punished. And they're like, well, what if he, what if he did that to himself? Because every character that you come across in Revendreth does different things with their Sinstones. But then I read this thing on the actual boss, the boss fight thing, and it says, in the sinister confines of Castle Nathria, souls are being tortured not to redeem their sins, but to amplify them. So we see Kael'thas here with his Sinstone just chained to him, and he's being used.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that we'd, obviously we're not trying to heal him because we want to redeem him. I would like to redeem him, but not everybody would. But it's not so that we, can save him and make everything happy. It's to keep him also from being unleashed as a weapon, because this is the ultimate
Because Castle
goal.
Nathria was merely a setback.
Yes.
Exactly.
So will it be a redemption arc? I don't know. We'll see.
I hope so.
But it is definitely a look. We either redeem him or we throw his ass into the maw, because he cannot be doing this. He cannot be used this way.
Yeah.
There's some spoilers on this one out there already, but we'll stay away from those on what happens there. But yes, definitely interested in that particular fight. Zista, you got one that you're keen on getting into, looking forward?
Not really. I'm just excited in general for all of it. Like this whole raid. This is the meat and potatoes of the patch to me, like the expansion. Like tier 1. So I'm just excited to get in there. I'm really excited to do Mythic Pluses, which I never thought I'd hear myself say because I've hated them so much in the past. But there's mounts attached to them now, so it changes my perspective.
I do kind of like the mechanic with, well, not mechanic, but Shriekwing and Sludgefist happening in basically the same room, but it's utilized in two different ways. Like with the center pillars, they play a primary mechanic in the Sludgefist side of things, and then a line of sight mechanic in the previous fight. I kind of like that, actually. Like, it seems cheap at first, right? They're using one room for two bosses. Why didn't you make another room? Lazy copy paste. But the way the mechanics in both of those fights work and utilize that same space in two totally different ways feels organic and cool. So I'm kind of looking forward to just getting my feet wet in that particular fight, not because I'm particularly invested in the bosses themselves or any of their lore or anything like that, but I do appreciate good design like that, and I want to see if it executes and I feel the same way after I've done it, Zista.
I'm still just waiting for some boss encounters that aren't based on this happens at this time, this happens here. Like I'd like more encounters like EverQuest 2 was doing for a bit. I think Final Fantasy does, where they're just more random, a lot more randomness to it, where it's just, you don't have every minute and 30 seconds this ability goes off without fail, every 3 minutes, every percentage this happens. I like a little more variety, even if it's not every boss, maybe one boss here or there.
In a raid?
He's not a healer.
Yes, in a raid.
In a raid, okay. In a dungeon, I'd go with you. In a raid, I would never go with you. But I'll defer because I think Ladies First has the same opinion here. Go ahead. Go ahead, Indy.
A healer wants to know when those heavy spike damage is incoming. Zista likes to die, that's fine. It would probably be an interesting little twist if something like that happened out of the blue with no timer or warning. But I like the predictability of knowing, okay, this is going to happen when he either hits this percentage or when this timer runs down.
Could you imagine the arguments with World First if something like that, those types of mechanics were in like a higher tier raid? Well, you got this mechanic and we didn't. That's why you got the out first.
Well, yeah, but it's
Oh,
more of
God.
it's more of just not completely obliterating mechanics or having it
Oh
that they
no,
don't
man! If you're gonna
happen.
do it, roof fall
But
down kills the raid. Just if you're
well,
gonna do it, go hog
I'm
wild.
saying like instead of like at every minute and 30 seconds this ability happens, but maybe after every minute it could happen, in like a 20-second window or something here. And then there's a big wind up and the boss, reaches back before he does it and smashes there when you have some notice that it's coming, but it's not happening on a timer. That's basically all I'm saying.
Well, that would be fine because that's avoidable damage. That's if
Right.
people stand in it, then
Yeah.
All right, if that's the way you're thinking, maybe I can go with you on something like that. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We can't leave Castle Nathria without Indy giving you a chance to talk about your second boyfriend, and that is
Oh,
Sire.
man. Well, listen. Here's the thing with Sire Denathrius, and I haven't looked ahead. I lost my castle tab. Here it is. Okay, so I haven't looked ahead. I haven't watched anything from beta on this. I did watch some of the videos of the fight, but I don't think any of them were completed. I'm very much looking forward to this fight, but also it looks insane.
Yeah, it does look
because of
nuts.
the phases. So just looking at the phases from a healer standpoint, I'm really trying to just kind of like buckle up and get in for that. It's not going to be easy, but at the same time, it looks really cool. I am so motivated by a challenge like this.
So am I. So here's the timeline, by the way. You get your normal, your heroic castle today. You get your mythic next week. Then you get the looking for raid wing 1. That's not going to be available until next week as well, when mythic launches at the same time, and that's technically right when the world first race begins, because the normal and heroic versions don't matter. They're for scrubs like us. Other wings in looking for raid are going to be staggered every 2 weeks. So you'll get wing 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So as far as looking for raid group finder goes, you're going to have like the next month and a half before you'll be able to clear it through there. So get your chat channels ready if you're going to be looking for additional members pugging that way. Speaking of Mythic, we have the Mythic Plus Season 1 starting today as of recording of this show. I have not been in there. I had to do some Final Fantasy stuff this afternoon, and I'll be doing a little more of that tonight with 5.4 having come out today and having to do a show on Thursday about that. So I got to split my time. Zista, I know you said you were going to try and at least get a 1 key done today. Did that happen?
Unfortunately, did not.
Oh, shit.
Day's not over.
No, I'll probably be doing some later tonight at like 4 a.m.
So why 4 a.m.?
Tomorrow morning.
Like, what a random time to have just pulled out of the air. Why 4 a.m.?
Because that's when some of my other obligations are over. So
I think that's a conversation I don't want to get into. Indy, have you hit Mythic Plus a run at all today?
No, not yet. But I feel like maybe tonight around 4 a.m. there might be a healer needed.
Why 4 a.m., Indy? Have you just picked a time at random?
I mean, I'm just taking a wild guess. I do like running with the same people if possible, and he's got a really great group. And Mythic Plus is like, I'm really more nervous about affixes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Are we getting the same ones? Are we getting new ones? Or just from the healer standpoint, I like to know. A lot of it is manageable, very manageable, and a lot of it in combination is a nightmare. So I'm kind of ready for anything right now.
On that front, Teaming and Skittish taking a break for Shadowlands Season 1. Those affixes aren't in there. They could return in the future. Does that really make a difference for you?
No, I mean, there's some combinations that are absolutely terrible. Like, you don't want stuff where, like, Sanguine, where, like, creatures leave pools on the ground with, explosive things like that. Those, to me, are terrible because you kill stuff and then explosive orbs spawn inside those puddles and you have to kill the orbs, and you can't use it with, like, cleavable damage. It has to be single target focus damage. So it's like either stand in this and die, or don't stand in it and the thing explodes and you die. So there's just combinations that are not fun, pending, but usually you build, like, knowing what they are in advance, you get to build the group around it. So it's like, if this isn't a very melee friendly fight, maybe melee doesn't get to go this week. And I don't mind sitting out a week or so if I have to. Usually I'll get one done no matter what. I just won't
maybe
push.
you don't get to go this week then.
Well, I won't push keys like that week if I'm looking to get a certain dungeon done. Like if I need to get a 15 done, in the time or whatever, I don't use that week to do that. I use that week to just get a 10 done or something like that, and just not worry about the timer and get the loot anyway.
Fair enough.
So,
final notes on or thoughts from either of you on a week 2 Shadowlands experience and what you're going to be doing this week. I don't know if I'll make the raid this Friday because I got these other damn shows on this channel. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this channel called Ready Check Radio. If you head over to readycheckradio.com, you can get a full schedule and all links to all of our socials there. See our streams, see Snowbound, the Blizzard podcast, which you're watching right now, the Relic Grind, our Final Fantasy / Square Enix podcast, and Gaming Gumbo, our general weekly gaming wrap-up show, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out all of those shows. We'd appreciate it. Tell your friends and tell everybody. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, all that fun stuff. Before we leave the topic of WoW Gang and head into some other Blizzard news to wrap up the show, and then, of course, cap it all off with lore or lies from our resident lore keeper, Lil Missy. Naxxramas did launch in Classic. Now, Indy, this was BI, before Indy. BI, before Indy. We made predictions on this show about how long it might take for the world first Nax clear on Classic. Those predictions, BI, before Indy, ranged from about 24 to 48-ish hours, depending on which host's prediction you were thinking or you were looking up. We were off a little bit, Zista. We were off
slightly,
like little bit.
Just by a little, though.
Yeah, just by a little. Guild, congratulations. Progress in EU. Got the world first. Kel'Thuzad kill. Full clear. Naxxramas. WoW Classic. Not in 48 hours. Not in 24 hours. Not in 16 hours. 10 hours. 5 hours. 3 hours. Not even 2 hours. Hell, they didn't even make it to the hour and a half mark. Got killed an hour and 23 minutes after the raid opened. Now, this was really hard to watch. I was trying to watch some of it live, like not all of it, but I tried to watch some of this because there were some different teams streaming and things. It was kind of challenging to watch this because obviously the raid can be done in different... actually, it is a little surprising, Martz, for reasons we talked about on previous shows. But it was kind of hard because the wings can be done in any order. The order that Progress went through, they went Abomination, then Arachnid, which was kind of a difference from most teams going into Arachnid wing first. Then Plague, and then, of course, hit Military Quarter last for the Four Horsemen fight. 31 deaths, Healer. 31 deaths, Indy, total, and not a single boss wipe.
Yeah, I read about this. I didn't watch it, only because I'm a Classic player and I was there when Nax actually opened, and it was just wipe fest. And listen, it's not Classic. It's not vanilla. It's Classic re-release, and these people have had just infinite time to rehearse, and basically, it's commendable. It's definitely commendable, but being from that time when it actually opened, and we didn't know what order to do things in. We didn't know the fights. I feel like it was more rewarding to rate it back then than now. So, I'm always going to like it better how it was then. That said, to not even have a single wipe is impressive. I would have guessed just before, like if it was, I know all of your guesses were BI, I would have said 2.5 hours. Like that would have been my guess, because I would have thought that there's somebody out there, when Molten Core came out, in the classic re-release. It was absolutely obliterated because the players now, we know everything. Everything can be rehearsed. And back then, you had to like grind for the gear, grind for the materials, figure out consumables, and now that we know everything, how to stack all these buffs and world buffs, I'd like to see how they fared if those world buffs weren't allowed inside the dungeons, if they weren't allowed to, work around certain things the way they have.
And Sir Onion Knight in chat obviously pointing out that knowing the mechanics in advance is a huge advantage to any world first race. Now, there is not a single thing that Indy said there, Zista, that you, I, or Kat did not bring up when we talked about this. However, our fault was you and I gave the Four Horsemen a little more credit than maybe they deserved.
It's an unbelievable fight. And for them to do that is a great accomplishment. I give them a lot of credit. It's just, to me, and it's not even me looking back at nostalgia goggles, but I think a lot of it too is that there were such things that Blizzard doesn't look too fondly upon, called private servers, that a lot of people had experience with, that they can access this content before it's released and practice before going in. So it kind of made the classic race a little cheapened in my opinion.
So basically, Indy and Zista saying, congrats, progress, but stay off my lawn. All right, let's finish up with some other Blizzard news. Again, we're in kind of doldrums here as far as most of the other titles go, but ActiBliz is suing Netflix over poaching employees. That's always fun, right? Netflix has already gotten slapped around by a couple judges for doing this with other companies, particularly getting a, don't do that, cease and desist, stop that, from some other lawsuits. But yeah, apparently ActiBliz suing them for recruiting Chief Financial Officer Spencer Newman about a little bit like a year and a half into a 3-year deal. So yeah, here's the thing I don't understand about these suits. Like, there are a bunch of different companies that are suing Netflix for this same type of behavior. It's not just Activision-Blizzard, and it's not just new, right? Netflix kind of has an established pattern here based on these filings of going after who they want, and the laws and the rules be damned, which is a bad look, certainly is a bad look, and I don't think they care. But there's some of this is Spencer Newman's doing too, right, Indy? I mean, like, it's not just Netflix.
I don't agree. Look, I don't know to what degree, like how aggressively they quote unquote poach employees. But here's the thing. If you have a company like Netflix, and I'm a huge fan of Netflix, so I might be a little biased here, but if you have a company like Netflix and you're offering more, who in their right mind wouldn't make a career move if they saw greater potential elsewhere? We've seen great people leave Blizzard. Like, honestly, my heart's been broken since Metzen left. Like, a lot of greats have left Blizzard. So anything that's happening now thereafter, I don't really see it as like the hugest deal in the world. I feel like they're replaceable. CFO replaceable.
Zista, we've seen this. Fox and Viacom file these suits. A judge last year actually slapped Netflix and told him to stop poaching. But I'm kind of with Indy here, and I said it when I tossed it to her. It's, it takes two to tango. Netflix can poach and poach all they want.
The way I look at it is, if things were good where they were, they'd have no reason to leave.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did we get the Winter Wonderland event? I actually forgot to check that today. No, we didn't.
No, I'm sad. It's not supposed to be active. Winter Veil, I think the 16th, and I'm kind of like bummed about it because like it's kind of late.
Talking about Overwatch now, chat, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
What about Winter Veil? Well, I still think it's late to start. Like, I feel like winter events should have started already.
So it's got to be next Tuesday then, right, Zista? I mean,
I can almost guarantee you it's going to be next Tuesday.
All right, Winter Wonderland and Overwatch got to be next Tuesday. Last thing before we go over to Lore or Lies, Initially, we were going to berate Hearthstone for remaining quiet on the continued barraging that they just keep taking from the fan base. But then Blizzard was like, okay, we're going to go ahead and say something. And they did announce yesterday that changes to the rewards track in Hearthstone are coming soon. But Zista, I don't think that everybody's going to really be in a good mood about these changes until they actually see the initial round of changes and then how fast the subsequent changes come after that.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely noticed they've made alterations already. This was before their silence. They made alterations to the gold, and in which we got a big increase in gold, but it's not enough. Like, it's definitely not enough. And I have a friend that initially, like the day this system launched, he sat there, he looked at it, and he's like, this really makes me want to start buying stuff and playing again, and it's a lot of fun. And then it was like a week later, his tune completely changed, and he's barely been on Hearthstone. There's a guy that's been playing Hearthstone almost every single day for the last, I want to say maybe year, however long Battlegrounds were first introduced, he's been playing nonstop. And it's just now he's switched over to Overwatch, and I'm like, what's the big change? And he goes, it just feels like it's requiring too much time and money to put into Hearthstone to just be able to enjoy it and play it now. He goes, Overwatch has always been free for me, and I think I'm going to be sitting there for a little bit now.
Yeah, and some of these changes are the predictable knee-jerk reaction type changes, and hopefully they're not knee-jerk. Hopefully in the period of silence they've run the math, run the numbers, because on the surface, some of these are, is exactly what you would do to try to solve the problem like this, but maybe not be the best long-term solution. Changing weekly quests from win 7 games of ranked play mode to 5, stuff like that. Raising the amount of experience for daily quests, raising the amount of or lowering the amount of experience needed to reach certain levels in the rewards track, adding more gold to the rewards track. Hopefully it's done in an intelligent way, Indy, or you're going to have things swing the other way, which obviously as a business, you can't afford to have that be a problem either.
Yeah, there's a lot of things they can't afford right now.
All right. On that note, I don't think you can sum it up any better than that. So let's just head over and do Lore or Lies. This is the segment of the show every week where we come and we tell you 3 exciting details from Blizzard or the World of Warcraft itself and lore. And this is always, as always, presented by our resident lore keeper, Lil Missy. Make sure you follow her on Twitter right there at Lil Missy4205. We're each going to read a statement. One of those statements will be false. Could be a small falsehood, could be a big one. You need to tell us which one is a lie and how it's a lie. It's not enough to just say Zista's the liar. We know.
What?
I mean, it's not enough to say that Zista told the lie.
Oh.
Last week, our lore keeper tried to sneak in a crazy theory she had as the lie. Ner'zhul was not given a premonition by the jailer. The Wheel of Death broke at the conclusion of the Burning Legion's 3rd invasion, a.k.a. the end of the Legion expansion itself. Now this week, here's my statement. With Sylvanas as the jailer's right hand, I heard she burned a tree, guys. I heard she burned a tree. I'm sorry. Let me start again. With Sylvanas as the jailer's right hand, she has the power over shadowy tormentors and used them on the undead who did not obey her, like Koltira Deathweaver. Arthas the Lich King had kept these fiends at bay until the Knights of the Ebon Blade broke from his will.
Since all the souls are going directly into the Maw, the other realm have been cut off from each other. The in-between, which is the main connection between them, is dried up. It's every realm for themselves.
Souls would normally enter the Shadowlands through Oribos, located at the epicenter of the Soul Stream. From there, they would be sent to whatever realm the Arbiter judged them to remain for an eternity.
One of those 3 statements has a falsehood in it. Was it me? Was it Zista? Was it Indy? And as always, thank you, Lil Missy, for our lore for the show. Make sure you go follow her. Follow. Let us know in the comments below which one is the lie. And let us know what you think of the show, how you're progressing through Shadowlands, and what you'll be doing in Mythic Plus or in the brand new raid. We'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. here on twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. Until then, Indy, where can everybody find you, my friend?
You can find me on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, at Indy Garona, everywhere, and usually streaming almost every day.
Zista.
You can find me down below at It's Zista, Xizta, and on Twitch at Just Zista.
Sticks putting it all in the chat for us. Speaking of chat, don't go anywhere. Next up, after this show, we've got Mr. Jason Winter doing some fun streaming action. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good.
What are you streaming today?
Well, I'm going to keep going with my Wasteland 3 playthrough, which, if you remember last week, I made a character based on you, Mike.
Yes, you did.
Gave him a flamethrower,
yes,
so you can go around and torch things like Sylvanas torched that tree once.
Yeah. What was it? I am something about sex. Sex something.
Yeah, you're a sex maniac.
Sex
too,
maniac.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing some Wasteland 3. That's awesome. Going to be having some fun. Chat, make sure you hang tight right after this show to watch Jason Winter stream on YouTube. Come on over, check out the show live sometime. My name is Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at MagicMan1 on Twitter. But more importantly, follow at RC Raideo so we can tweet at you with all the podcast streamers and more. It's been a lot of fun, gang. Until next week, have fun in Castle Nathria. Stay safe. And, of course, we'll see you out on those servers.